Hey everyone, so the PCB we made last episode is on its way. So while we're waiting, I wanted to give you a quick overview about the FDA rabbit hole that I've started down with this project. As many of you have guessed, the TMJ heating massage pen that we're making in this series is probably going to be classified as a medical device. You might be thinking, what could a fresh out of college mechanical engineer possibly know about designing medical devices? And before this series, obviously nothing. But luckily, we're not making a life or death device here, so I more or less get to dip my toes into the world of FDA regulation and take you with me.
Off the bat, there are three classes of medical devices, going from the lowest risk to highest risk to the user. Class 1 devices are things like bandages, manual stethoscopes, and most relevant to us, therapeutic electric massagers. So think of those massage guns you have. Those are Class 1 devices, low risk. Class 2 devices have a bit more range though, and this is where around half of all medical devices are classified. So it ranges from syringes to pregnancy tests to contact lenses, and again, most relevant to us, something like an electric heating pad. Class 3 devices are more life critical. So here we have things like pacemakers, implants, life support systems, and so forth. Okay, but why does it matter? Well, as you would imagine, Class 1 devices tend to have the fewest regulations. These are called general controls. This includes things like misbranding or mislabeling protections, establishment and device registration, record keeping, and quality control, something we'll look into with more detail later. In addition, there's this thing called pre-market notification, a process that most Class 1 devices are exempt from.
And pre-market notification is actually where things start to get really annoying. The premise is to show the FDA that your device is similar to and just as safe as another device that's already legally on the market.
To do this, you have to submit a 510(k) form that goes through the design, intended use, and characteristic data that helps with the comparison. And the thing is that you have to do this before marketing your product. So I don't think we'd be able to launch a Kickstarter, for example, to raise money to fund the process.
But maybe that just means no sales, I'm not sure. And funding's actually pretty important here because all the forms and registrations that I have to submit to the FDA cost thousands of dollars, not even including the money I'd have to pay the consultancies to help me through the process.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because a good amount of Class 2 devices are also exempt from pre-market notification. This includes the electric heating pad I mentioned before, and being exempt would make the process a bazillion times easier. Even so, Class 2 devices have special controls on top of general controls, which require some specific benchtop test data submitted that show safe operation.
Dealing with all this ambiguity, though, was getting really annoying for me. So I wanted to see if I could do a little more research to figure out exactly what my classification would be.
First step, find someone who makes a similar product. Off the top of my head, I knew that Therabody recently launched its TheraFace Pro. It at first seems to be like a facial massager, but what I'm interested in are the hot and cold rings that you add on for $100. Next step, let's check the FDA database. It took a while to find, especially since Therabody isn't even the manufacturer, but eventually I found some interesting stuff. First off, I found a 510(k) filing, which at first freaked me out. But then I realized it was for a microcurrent ring specifically and nothing else. Phew. Then I found their product unique identification filings. Scrolling down, there it is, the hot and cold rings. Fuck. They're filed as powered heating pad, just what I was afraid of. It looks like we're going to have to file as a Class 2 device after all, and that's bad, guys, because by this point I figured out what extra special controls mean. Here's part 820 of FDA Title 21 that describes what quality systems rules they want you to follow when making a medical device. But it's this section right here, design controls, that only applies to Class 2 devices, and it's a doozy. It's no 510(k), but it pretty much doubles the design costs for any company doing them. And the worst part is, they count as design costs, so I'd have to fundraise before even a hint of sales, which is pretty damn hard. Not gonna lie, this is a bit of a heartbreaker. I really don't want to have to raise several $100,000 here. But then, while randomly searching through the therapeutic massager database, I stumbled on a diamond. Look what I found. Check it out, Brown Med. Scroll down. Intellinetics. Heat and vibration therapy wrap. Massager, therapeutic electric, Class 1.
So wait, does that mean the massagers with heated ends are also considered Class 1?
This kind of stumped me. How is there such a difference in classification for products that essentially do the same thing? So, I just had a call with someone that deals with this kind of stuff all the time, and he agreed that this was actually really weird. And what I found out is that I was totally wrong in assuming that dealing with the FDA was going to have any sort of rigid structure. It turns out that classification, like official classification, is totally optional, and it's actually something that you get to pick when you register your product. And it's kind of just up to the FDA to find out who misclassified and punish them according to the egregiousness. So here's the pickle, right? Either Brown Med went and misclassified their Intellinetics heating massage wrap, and at some point the FDA is going to go audit them and find that out and tell them to do God knows what. Or they misclassified themselves and the FDA is never even going to get to it because it's just like too small of a thing and they don't have the bandwidth. Or the Therabody people are just too safe or they like playing it safe and classified as a class 2 heating pad just because why not? So now I get to make a choice. Do I go and hope that it's the latter two options, or do I play it safe like Therabody did? And the thing is that during my research, I saw that Therabody was filing a bunch of 510Ks for a bunch of different products when I'm pretty sure they didn't really need to. So that makes me think that they are possibly playing things too safe. So I told myself that if I was able to find another big product that heats and massages and is classified as a therapeutic electric massager, then I would classify myself as that and call it a day. After a bit of searching, I did just that. Here's Homedics. Looking through their product database, I found 2 clear-as-day examples of heating massagers that are classified under Therapeutic Electric Massager, Class 1. This was a bit of a roller coaster, and I'm happy where we ended up. But either way, even Class 1 devices have to follow the rest of the sections. I'm still going to have to register my business and product with the FDA, which will cost me around $8,000. Do I get to register my home as the place where I get to manufacture and label, or does it have to be a real place of business? I don't know. I'm still going to have to create a unique device identification submission for every batch and record all adverse events in the same database we were just searching through. What counts as a batch or an adverse event? I'm still going to have to create FDA compliant labeling for every device I make. Sure, I know what goes on the labels, but what do I have to put on the box versus the device itself? And how am I going to manage the logistics of generating and printing unique labels? What software am I going to use to do all the record keeping? Can I just throw it on a spreadsheet, or are there some kind of standards?
As you can tell, I have a lot of questions, which is why I'm talking to as many people in the industry as I can. And I'll probably end up working with a consultancy because from what I can tell, professional interpretation means a lot here. But this is making me think about how much money it's going to cost to launch this product. Meaning fundraising has just gone from nice to have to mission critical. So while there's still a ton of engineering to be done, like finishing the PCB and finishing up the design for manufacturability and assembly and all the changes that are going to come through learning the FDA process, like labeling, we're going to have to start the Kickstarter process now. And that includes all of the branding and marketing that goes along with it. I can tell that this is where the hard part of starting a business begins. See ya.